You are not failing, but you do need intention. And today's word will help us navigate the blueprints. Welcome. My name is Gabrielle, and here in this community, we talk about transformation, mindset shifts, growth, and intentional steps. And if that is something that you're interested in, we would love for you to join the community. So, today I want to share with you something that has been such an encouragement to me in this last 2 months of the year, really being redirected by God, realigned, repositioned for what He has for us. Even if you have just started really locking in November 1st, it is okay because you have saw where you have been and you are saying maybe this isn't working, and now you're taking intentional steps. You're seeking God in a secret place for Him to redirect you so that your focus can be on what He has assigned for you to do. And that's okay. You're not alone in that. That's many of us, whether we admit it or not. And so today I want to come from Galatians, and it is Galatians 5:1, and this is NIV. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of bondage. And in this version, it says by the yoke of slavery. And when you look at stand fast is in the King James Version, and stand firm is here, but it means the same thing. It means to stand firm, to persevere, to persist, to keep one standing. And persevere is the persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. And I want to share with you all because oftentimes we want to keep going, we want to keep pushing, we want to be actively waiting. And what I mean, while we wait, we're serving, we are about our Father's business, we're doing what He has given us to do. But there are moments where we ourselves get discouraged, we forget about ourselves, we forget about the health of our minds, we forget about the health of our bodies because we're just pushing and pressing trying to achieve a goal. But what I want to say to you today is it is important that you are operating from a cup, from a vessel that is overflowing. So if you are not operating from a place of overflow, what you are giving out is not enough to even sustain you. And the difference is when you allow God to pour into you, to give you direction, to redirect you, to work on your heart, to work on those things that you may be struggling with internally, you can begin to be filled by Him first. And when you're filled by Him first, you actually have the blueprint, you have the strategy, the wisdom, the insight, the revelation, the understanding. So that direction you should be going, or you um need to be walking in. And that is why it's important that every step is lit by God, because when God is lighting your path, you know the direction you're going. You actually know the next step because you are being led by God. And oftentimes we may feel like it's not moving fast enough. Why isn't this happening yet? But I did a post on Pinterest that said great things take time. It takes process, it takes refinement, it takes redirection, pivoting, refocusing, to ensure that what you are doing is in alignment with God's perfect will for your life. And I always tend to use nature as an example because when you sow a seed in good soil, you have to water it. It has to have the right environment, the right sunlight for it to then take root and those roots to grow deep. And then you will see it flush out blooms and sprout because it takes time. But what you can do in the meantime is pray over it, allow God to water it, make sure it's in the right environment. And if you see maybe the soil is dry on top, you water it again. Maybe you see that it's starting to sprout just a little bit. Maybe it needs fertilizer. And that's the same with our lives. It's not to keep pushing in the wrong direction, but it's actually to say, okay, let me be still in God's presence so He can redirect me. so he can pour into me, and so that I can receive insight on what he will have me to do in this season. And the word of God talks about in Galatians living a life in the spirit. In verse 13 says in the NIV, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. And verse 16 says, so I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the flesh. And that is such a beautiful word to be reminded, because when you are led by God, your focus is on his desires he has placed in your heart. And sometimes when you are idle, you begin to ruminate, you begin to think about things, maybe things begin to come up for you and it causes your heart to harden. But put when you take captive those thoughts and subject them to the obedience of Christ, that you will have freedom in your mind, freedom in your mind to reflect on things that are good, things that are above, things that are about God's business that he has for you to do in this earth realm. And that is very important, because sometimes we could be full of so much creative energy, but our focus is on the next move. It's on what can I do to make this or this and this and that. And we totally forget about our inner man operating from a place that allows the fruit of the spirit to be made manifest in our lives. Because if we're sitting and we're pondering and we're comparing our lives to others, and what can I do about this, what can I do about that, then there's resentment, there's bitterness, envy, jealousy, you get impatient. And the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And in order to operate from the fruit of the spirit, have to be into a you have to get to a place where you allow God to transform you, your inner wells, those things that you are holding so tight that you don't want to release, those things that you don't understand. You have to allow God to come into your heart, clean up that area, soften your heart, that you can perceive from him that when you step out into the world, you are operating from a place of love, joy, faithfulness, goodness, self-control, and forbearance, because you have allowed God to cultivate your garden. You have allowed God to come in and take over and rule and reign in your life. It's only by his spirit. Because trust me, the flesh is quick to snap. The flesh is quick to tell you off. The flesh is quick to block, delete, unfollow. And sometimes we let our flesh react first, rather than operating from a calm and quiet spirit and taking a pause, breathe. Even with our kids, I notice sometimes I have to slow down. Okay, I done heard mommy like 5 times. So I'm like, let me just pause, breathe real quick, do my 4-second inhale, 7-second exhale. Okay, yes, what do you want? It takes that sometimes, because the flesh wants to react. It wants to react, but you have to allow yourself to allow God to fill you. And that comes with being in the secret place. And I know that sounds so simple, but you have to make intentional time for God to pour into you, that he can give you the next steps, that you know how to navigate this season. And there are areas that we all want to improve. There are areas that you want to improve. Maybe it is working out. Maybe it is journaling. Maybe it is working in your career. Maybe you want to pivot and do something else. You want to go into a different industry. You want to maybe think about, what can I do with the experience that I've had before I went and took a job just for the salary. It's taking that time to see, where can I improve? Does this need improvement? Maybe it's being more in nature, taking intentional time to pour into yourself. Maybe it is learning a skill or reading, whatever it is. Give yourself an opportunity to explore. If you realize that maybe you are in a place at a crossroad where you're like, okay, I know I started on this path from my own desires, what I thought I wanted. Let me take a moment with God to be redirected on the path that He has for me. And it may not look like what you envision for yourself, but you have to be open to new opportunities, new experiences, new skills, right? Learning a skill is so vital, it's so important. It's important to your growth. It's important to education, knowledge, learning. Hands-on skills are really important. And there are so many different resources available. Even if you have a LinkedIn, you can do LinkedIn learning. It's so easy to get access to some of the resources for higher education if you just want to take a quick course. And that's so important when we humble ourselves and say, okay, I need to learn more in this area. I don't know much about this. This what I was doing before wasn't working. Let me take this to God. Let me write this out. Let me take this to God and let me be led by His Holy Spirit to where He is taking me, where my focus can be redirected, and maybe I can open my mind to new opportunity, new experience, to new resources. It's amazing when you take the time to pause and be redirected, realigned. You'll begin to see more of God's abundance and resources around you. Sometimes we are operating from such a place of survival that we often overlook major resources around us. And that really takes you slowing down, reading through that page, that booklet, that pamphlet that you just glimpsed over and clicked around in. It takes you slowing down to make that phone call and get clarification on whatever program or whatever course. It does take that because ultimately it will help you gain more knowledge and understanding so that you can grow. So these steps are to help you be more intentional. How can you be more intentional in these last 2 months of 2025? What can you do today to take one step towards your goal, whether it's fitness, health, nutrition, your career, learning a new skill, maybe organizing your home, decluttering your closet, maybe writing down things that are essential for your home, for your children, going through their closet, whatever it is, take time to take an intentional step today that will also help to open your mind to more opportunities. It will help with your creativity because when you have a clear space, when you have things in order, you can think clearly and take time to spend time with God, to meditate on His Word, that you can operate from a place of overflow. So I hope that this has been a blessing to you today. You can check out more on my website at womenwhocultivate.com. If you want a little bit of accountability, I do have a 30-day devotional guide. It's called Garden of Growth, and it'll be linked in the description. Be blessed.